For the final section of this exam preparation video, we're going to have a look again at group resilience. This is an example of a written stimulus from a past exam. So we talked about representations in the stimulus in my previous video, but in this last video, we're going to look at text structures, language features, and then tying it all together to write sentences that would answer the exam and include language features and text structures. So in the exam, the first thing I would do after reading this would be decide on my two representations. And then, as you can see here, I'm going to go through it and just jot down some language features, text structures. So let's have a look. The first text structure I've got, keep it simple. I've got a title. Lovely. Next up, I've got some short sentences that I noticed. Solid, full stop, sparkling, full stop. So that's a text structure. And finally, I said, cool, there's a concluding paragraph here, and that's a text structure element. And it ties nicely into the title. Some language features that jumped out at me. I've got repetition here. We have hope, we have togetherness, we have. I've also got a simile. You might have noticed that one. Like diamonds will emerge strong and bright. Up here, I've got a metaphor. It would be easy to let a blanket of despair turn us inwards. Another metaphor, or you could call this some imagery too, down the bottom here, just on this bottom bit here, a bright light illuminating our path just as day follows night. So when I click this next one here, we have an exam question. Let's read it together. Explain how the local council leader in Stimulus 1 creates two representations of group resilience in the transcript of his speech. For each representation, explain a belief about group resilience and how a language feature and text structure communicate this. Cool. So in the exam, really focus on the question and figure out what are they asking you to do. You might think of it looking like this. You need one chunk about a representation plus a belief, language feature, and a text structure. And you need a second chunk about a different representation plus a belief, language feature, and text structure. In total, the writing of these two chunks needs to be 200 to 300 words. Let's have a look at what my answers might be to this question. My topic sentence would be group resilience is represented as being something that has the power to help communities get through tough times and uplift them. That's my first representation. I might say, the speech shows that the speaker believes that we have a choice when it comes to hardship. We can give up or we can unite and stay strong. There's my belief. This is evident when the language feature of a metaphor is used. For instance, they say that it would be easy to let a, quote, blanket of despair weigh us down and turn us inwards. The metaphor invites the listener to feel the weight of the pressures. Please note here that when I've quoted the stimulus, I'm using quotation marks, and I've identified that it's a metaphor, but I've gone the extra mile and said, why did the person use the metaphor? It's not enough to just say there's a metaphor. We must say, why did they use it? Well, I've answered it here. The metaphor invites the listener to feel the weight of the pressures. Finally, so I've got a nice linking word. Finally, a text structure in the speech is the powerful concluding sentence which further emphasizes the belief that through group resilience, we will become more resilient. Great. That will do. I've got the representation, a belief, a language feature, and a text structure. I'm going to do this all over again because I've only got 121 words in that section and they actually want two of these. So I have to do it all over again. Let's have a look. Another point of view or representation about group resilience in the stimulus is that it is a strong force that is unbreakable in the same way a rock is solid and unbreakable. Cool. So this whole chunk is going to be about this idea of it being unbreakable. Clearly, the speaker believes that group unity is as precious as a valuable mineral like diamonds and gold. Correct. That is a belief in the stimulus. This is evident when the language feature of a simile is used. Well, cool. So what is the simile? For instance, they describe hope and togetherness as being unbreakable and solid like diamonds. I have quoted the simile. Now I need to say, why did they do it? The simile invites the listener to view group resilience as not only unbreakable, but valuable and beautiful. Nearly done. I now just need a text structure. Finally, this idea is extended with the text structure of short sentences like solid, sparkling. This is used to inspire listeners to aim for group resilience. Awesome. 117 words there. You might like to, in your response, even underline those key features that you're being asked to do so that you know you are answering the question. With my eyes, I'm checking back. I've got a point of view or a representation, a belief, language feature, and text structure. Combined, they look like this. So in total, I have 238 words, and I have done the same thing twice, relating to two different representations. And that is what the exam is asking you to do. Let's cover some last minute definitions that might help you in the exam. For instance, you might be asked about the attitude of the stimulus. And a helpful way to remember what an attitude is to think of the vibe of the stimulus, whether that's visual or written. This is helping my kids a lot. It really goes down to the vibe of the piece. What is the author's attitude refers to how are they talking about the topic. Do they like the topic? Are they passionate about the topic? So for this stimulus, you could say there is a brave attitude, optimistic attitude, determined, passionate, inspiring, bold attitude. So in the exam, when it says attitude, just think the vibe. That might help you. Next up, if you're asked what a value is, you just think, well, what's important to the speaker or the author? So here you could say, togetherness is important, community, not giving up, unity, hope, resilience, the future. So I'm looking back here. Our hope is for a better future, a bright light illuminating our path. So that tells me a value in the stimulus is the future. And certainly the idea of not giving up, that is important to the speaker. Finally, a tricky one, cultural assumptions. My students do find this one a bit tricky. Just ask yourself, what does the stimulus tell you about society and culture? And this one is a little bit of a harder one. Some answers you could say for this stimulus are that communities are better when they work together. That seems like a cultural thing. Not every culture likes to work together. Culturally, it says about our society that he's trying to communicate that we shouldn't let fear guide us. Culturally, we obviously agree that gold and diamonds are of value. He didn't say pebbles or dirt. And it tells us about society here, culturally, that most people do like joining together. I got that from this 70% of people like to draw together in challenging situations. So culturally, that tells us that most people do like to join together. I'm going to finish on this slide to wish you the best of luck with the CIA wherever you are in Queensland. And I hope this has helped you to make sense of the exam style questions. Good luck in your exam and take care.